Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for keeping us right here on KTV2. Why? Because your favorite program, To The Point, is about to launch right this moment. Why? Because we are going to talk about the media, social media, and the effectiveness on the society. 88% of the Middle East online population uses social networking site daily. English and Arabic are the most commonly used languages on the social media platform, uses by 48% and 45% of social media users. It is clearly reveals that Middle East population is becoming more active on social platforms, whether it is for personal uses or for business purposes. Social media has changed the way people interact. In many ways, social media has led to positive changes in the way people communicate and share information. However, it is a dark side for it as well. Social network can sometimes result in negative outcomes, some with long-term consequences. To talk more about this, stay with us. We will be right back right after this report. The world over, media has continued to play a creative role in keeping the society strong. Apart from bringing fresh news from several sources, It is also seen as a guardian of peace and order. Media's role is not limited to just that, but it is also recognized for its creative input and into the making of civil society. But lately, there have been a lot of inappropriate language in media and social media. To talk more about this and social media, we would like to welcome our guest, Dr. Hussein Murad, Department of Mass Communications in Kuwait University. Dr. Hussein Murad, a pleasure to have you right here.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, for this being here in Kuwait in KTV2. It's been a while, you know.
It's been a while. You have reunited yourself with your own family. You used to be one of us. You're still one of us, but now you're working for someone else.
Exactly. No, but I'm still committed to KTV2. It's the family channel. So
it's wonderful to hear that.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you have heard my introduction about the social media and the media itself, and there has been an inappropriate language and misconduct in the social media and the media. What is exactly you have to add? What is, as a prominent member of the society, what exactly we need to do? What's your responsibility?
Well, in terms of our responsibility for the media, for example, we need to know what's their roles, what's their functions. Media plays a major function in our society. First, it's a mechanism of surveillance. So people tend to learn. They want to know news. They don't know what's going on. You know, from your neighbor, from what's happening around you, in your environment. So what they do, they want to know. So that's one of the functions that the media would serve. As well as, you know, most of the people, we take it for granted. We take it as an entertainment. But we neglect that there are like 5 more functions within the media. One of them, and most importantly, is having the spreading of culture, spreading of not just only culture, tradition and heritage, and keeping that, preserving that heritage within this country.
Now, the important thing about it, you have to be more intellectual in order for you to use these kind of devices. We're talking about computers or maybe a laptop or maybe something like a tablet, something like that. Nowadays, people, they just jump in on the air and they just say whatever they want to say, whether it's appropriate or not, whether it's intellectual or not. What exactly we need to do to educate yourself not to do this and do that?
Well, in terms of that, we need to first start with we know how to use this kind of technology. Most of our audience or most of the users, they don't know what kind of freedom. What's freedom? Especially here in Kuwait. Freedom, they know that it's meant that I can use foul language. I can use profanity. I can actually criticize with bad words, and this is not the right thing. So we start from, as intellectuals, we start to build up laws, and that's how we see the electronic criminal laws that's been implemented, which preserves, you know, the entities that spread news. That's for example. So what other laws that we have? The visual and the radio and television law that was in 2007 that was implemented, which regulates that you're not supposed to use any bad language against the Prophet, His Highness the Emir, or anybody else, and that's what regulates our system. When it comes later on to having the person, any person who uses this device, we have to teach him how to start. Like, is it okay to go and check an Instagram page or a tweet from somebody else, and I just go and bash him with profanity? No, we need to learn, we need to educate, and that starts actually from within the family itself, and this is really important.
You have touched some kind of a nerve right here when you said about you have to teach him. Now, the media itself, it's affecting our manners. We are picking up some bad habits from bad society.
Definitely.
And it's going all over the world. What do you think?
Well, it's nothing new to that matter. We've been affected by different cultures, especially, for example, that when we look at Hollywood, you won't go to a Kuwaiti produced film in the movies, right? You would just prefer to go to a Hollywood movie. That's the culture that it started. and it's the penetration of these kind of cultures, especially United States, especially Europe, and or for example in Japan, that we will see animation that invaded our culture. What we need to do is try to educate them, try to see how we can use that culture within, we don't let them impose on our tradition and our values. And that's what's really important. That's a thin line that we don't recognize it within the whole public.
You mentioned something about the laws that was implemented back in 2007.
Correct.
And there are rules you have to implement every and each one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you have to control it because a lot of people, like you mentioned, they are ignorant regarding the law. They might go to jail. You need to have some kind of education for them, educate them not to do this, because eventually you're going to get in trouble and
Exactly.
you are the only person to get blamed. What do you think?
Well, and that's where comes our role, you know, especially with students at the university. We tell them that use this technology, do not abuse it. Make sure that this is a tool that you can communicate, that you can express your opinion without hurting other people. In that term, we also show them that the laws, it's not really restricting your freedom, but it's your freedom of speech. You're free to say anything, but watch your language. Be positive. When you talk to somebody, be positive. Do not look at the negative thing. Do not have a preconceived idea about, you know, what's this guy or this person or that tweet is saying. Just be positive, and that's what we're trying to foster within our students in Kuwait University.
Now, if you misuse some kind of language, like you mentioned, foul language or profanity, something like that, what exactly the law, prevents you from saying? Could you elaborate on that? Like, well, we need some kind of examples. Like, you cannot curse.
You cannot curse.
You cannot, use His Highness the Emir
right.
in some kind of language or something
yes.
like that. It's prohibited.
Exactly.
And also religion. Mm-hmm. What else?
Well, also spreading rumors. You know, that's a really important thing.
That's
or even
crime.
That's a crime. It's not really as much as being against His Highness the Emir or the Prophet, peace upon him. But still, it's a crime. So they make sure that when they're looking for a piece of information, especially Twitter, it's filled with lies. It's filled with rumors that no one knows. It's just spreading and retweets. So whenever you retweet that,
you know what's sad? The Twitter, because it became the source of information, and it's full of nonsense.
Not anymore, though. Not anymore. Not anymore. Lately, with the recent research, it appears that because people started to find out that it's not true, and that's also comes the intellectuals. That comes the role of people in universities to tell them, like, you have to check for your source of information. That's number one. What I say. Normally, if there's any piece of information, any piece of news that comes out, I would tell my student, make sure that you look at 3 different sources.
Are you in favor of the regulations could be more stiff and harder for people who are misusing the social media? Are you in favor of that?
It's not about being in favor. I would suggest actually first to teach them. To show them what's the use of that social media, especially Instagram, especially when it comes to those different applications. Show them what's right, what's the proper way to do it, what's not. And then they know if this person raised in a good, nurturing environment, he won't use profanity or bad language. Media everywhere, they have bad effects on people. It's look at the States, look at how people bash other people. Look how the media bashes other media outlets, but they still respect. There is a respect. There's a line that respect. This kind of education, we don't have it. We know that Kuwait, it has a low literacy percentage, but at the same time, we need more than just reading and writing. We need to know more, to delve into the information. It's very high, very big.
Doctor, some say that Twitter in specific, that it should be for high intellectual people as well as famous and celebrity, that you should follow and to become the role model for everybody. This is how it goes on in the Middle East. It's the opposite. Honestly, the people who are less educated, the people who are probably, they have priors, they went to prison, something like that, they became just like the podium for everybody to give speeches about how to do this and how to do that. But in the Western society, no, only the intellectual people who are using the Twitter.
You're correct. We have a trend. Normally what's happening here in Kuwait, we take the bad habits of the Western world and we implement it here in Kuwait. And that's why we have this problem that we need to show them that a certain role model, who's your role model? Normally it's a father, it's a person who's a celebrity in the media, but we need to check whether this is the right person or not. Unfortunately, with social media, everybody becomes a celebrity. And that's why we have to nurture, we start from the beginning, especially with the young generation. Who's your role model? There's certain conditions, certain rules for them, and it's mainly the parents' role.
What's final question, Doctor? Honestly, do you believe that the social media is able and capable of changing the world or not?
Definitely.
How?
Definitely. If we look back into other social media or the apps, for example, the email, the revolution of using the email. In Jakarta, they had overthrown their president at that time. Twitter also was used to overthrow certain governments within our Middle East. We have Facebook. So each social media, as Marshall McLuhan says in his book, that it's used certain time and that it controls people's minds, it controls their act, their way. So definitely it's very powerful. We have to use it and we have to use it right.
Now, from your own point of view, and you are a professor at Kuwait University, and I believe that most of the students, they have some kind of problem. See, it just came up to me right now. We would like to hear from you as a final word. What about your students? What exactly do they say about that?
Well, in terms, my students, like any other Kuwaiti citizens who are, using the social media, what I do with them, especially with the situations that happens nowadays in our country, I tell them, make sure, first, check the source of information. What is it? Is it right? Is it wrong? Have some critical thinking. Use your mind. That's the problem that we don't have here in Kuwait. Use your mind. That's the key word.
Dr. Murad, a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Please come back again.
Sure.
We'd like to thank our guest, Dr. Hussein Murad, Department of Mass Communication at Kuwait University. Stay with us. We will be right back. We would like to welcome our guest, Dr. Riham Al-Isa, College of Social Sciences at Kuwait University, Department of Information Studies. Thank you, Doctor, for staying with us.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Now, you have heard our previous guest, and we were talking about the social media and the media itself and how it's affect negatively or positively in our dear society. Now, your role comes here, and we would like to hear from you. The role does social media play in Kuwait society? Does it really manipulate the society or not?
Well, the role of social media is, first I'd like to start by saying it's a global issue, okay? And in Kuwaiti society, I think it's even more so, plays a big role, more so because the Kuwaiti society is very small, okay? And it's, the culture is very, somewhat conservative, I'd like to say. Yes, it does play a big role. It has entered our lives in many ways and will continue to do so. And we have to be prepared to deal with social media in our lives.
Nowadays, everybody is busy with his own or her device.
Yes.
Like going through a line, probably Twitter, WhatsApp, and etc. Yes. Which made us antisocial.
Yes.
You said like maybe 15 to 20 minutes with a person, and I don't think he would give you the time of the day, he or she.
Yes.
Why? Because he's too busy. Do you think this is rude, or this is the fact of life nowadays?
I think because of technology and because of all these social networks, and they're called social networks, so meaning that they socially connect people, not like this, face to face, but they're connecting people. The more I think we get involved in social media, the more connected we believe we are. The more we get involved in these social networks, we have a sense that yes, we are part of it, we are part of this community. But in reality, what ends up happening is that we are becoming more closed on ourselves.
Isolated.
We are isolating ourselves. We are losing the human contact, okay, which is essential and critical for survival. So that is not only it's missing, it's shifting, it's changing, okay. And the trick is, or the role is how do we keep up with this change?
Do you know what's the problem, Doctor? That we have an addiction to it.
Yes.
Addiction to caffeine, addiction to so and so and so. Nowadays, addiction to social media.
Yes.
And he or she, this is my opinion, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, probably I could be wrong. He or she, he thinks that he's more intellectual by reading too much. In order for you to read too much, you have to perform too much, to perform what exactly you have learned.
Yes.
But what exactly we are doing, we are, saving information in our heads, and we are leaving the best part with it, interacting with others.
But how much of this information that we're saving and that we're gathering through these social networks, yes, how much of it do you say, or what percentage of it is good and
bad?
What percentage is bad? How much do I keep in? How much do I throw away? It's a tricky arena. I think the social media and social networks are very tricky, and I think the key to using them, or to train the people to use these social networks, is by creating awareness, by educating people on the effects of these social media networks or social media groups that they are part of. They could be very beneficial, but at the same time, they could be very dangerous.
Do you know what's the funny thing? Instagram.
Yes.
Nowadays, they are hooked on it. They are addicted on it. They want to know who is doing who, what, and where and where. Yeah. In the Western society, just like I mentioned to your previous guest, Dr. Murad, and we were talking about that the people, the prominent people in the Western societies, they have followers because they are the prominent dignitaries.
Yes.
They are the role model that we are trying to do, just like they're doing intellectually. We're not talking about music or probably actor or actresses.
Yes.
Here we are following the insignificant people who have nothing else to do in the world but to wear this and to go to the restaurant and compliment this meal, and that's it. What do you think?
Well,
do I have a point
think
or not?
Yeah, you do have a point.
Okay.
And this maybe is amplified more so in our society, again, because I think our society is a very small society. So these things stand out more. I'm sure they exist in other cultures and in other societies, but not to the extent that we are feeling here. I believe that there are a lot of very good role models on social media. How many followers they have or how many people they're affected by, I don't think it's very significant at this point, but I think these people need to be, you know, in the limelight. These people need to be focused on more. I just think that this, again, the key to all of this is by increasing what we call information literacy. Information literacy is something that's very important, and that something that the person grows up with. The more you increase this, the more you create awareness about how to use these tools and how to use these mediums, the better end product you'll have.
I'm not done with you, Dr. Isa. I have a report from my colleague Farah Al-Ali. She met some kind of a group of people, public, that will talk about the social media. Watch this and come back with us.
Good evening and welcome to The Point. Today we're going to ask the public more about the pros and cons of social media. We're going to look more into the disadvantage and harassments that tend to happen when it comes to social media, because nowadays everyone uses their social media on a daily basis, and we would like to know what the public thinks and how we could avoid this. So make sure you stay tuned.
Hi, good evening. My name is David Rubin, and I'd like to talk about the negative aspects of social media. One of the main problems in social media we see today is that people find it hard to meet people, other people, or socialize without face-to-face, you know? And everything is behind a screen, everything is kind of done without knowing who the person behind on the phone is or in social media is with accounts. One of the negative aspects I find is that people feel that they can pretty much say negative aspects, say things that are mean or are not true, and if they garner attention and if the media spreads, then that becomes the truth because that's what everyone sees. So I think that's one of the negative aspects of social media. I think it's important in social media for people to be nice, to be actually themselves, and to be genuine. And I hope that people continue to do that in social and in their media.
And how a lot of people can become friends and your network spreads. You meet up with friends from college, and you may have a long gap, and then you just get to know them and you're so excited. It's also a platform for sharing your opinions, your ideas, and unfortunately there's also that screen of invisibility, so you don't know the person, but you can make your own opinion or statement or harass or bully someone. And that can be so prevalent, especially in society these days, where it's so easy to criticize someone, especially the younger generation. And I would think, you know, it's a platform where you can encourage someone, where you can befriend someone, where you can share interests, and where you can talk about so many topics that can make the world so much more smaller and more interesting.
Good evening, my name is Gustav. I've been asked to comment on social media and specifically on the negative use of social media. I'm quite passionate about people being individualistic and having an opinion of their own. And social media obviously creates a forum for everybody to have their own opinion. Unfortunately, when you spend much time on social media, you lose the personal contact that happens when you actually meet real people and you have real conversations. And thus one's opinion is tempered when you hear what other people say. When you tend to only work on social media, your opinion becomes overly important to you, and sometimes you can step on people's toes, and that's very unfortunate. And in terms of youth usage of social media, I'm quite concerned, having 4 kids of my own. They do tend to dive deeper into social media usage, and for me that's negative because they lose contact with one another and obviously with their parents. Social media can be used positively as well, so it's not all gloom and doom, but that's my opinion. Thank you.
Hi, this is Salome Jacob, and I'd like to talk about social media. Social media is a very hot topic these days because everybody is on their phones. You know, when you see people looking at their phones even while crossing the road, while driving, or while sitting down, even talking to one another in the restaurant. You see people looking at their phones and texting each other. So it has good as well as a lot of bad side to it. Is because people use it to hurt one another, to get back at each other, and you hear of so many people losing their lives, committing suicide because of the bad comments that they get, and it affects their inner confidence, and which we have to be careful and use it for the good and not for bad. So that's what I like to say, is that use everything that we have for our good.
Well, there you go. That is some of the opinions of the public towards the negative usage of social media. On a daily basis, we use social media. However, it doesn't mean that you are behind a screen, you'd be able to say whatever you want in a negative way. And this is some of the experiences and some of the advice from the public that give us today, and we'd like to learn from them. So thank you so much, and make sure you stay tuned.
Well, that was very informative from our colleague Farah Al-Ali, and she was talking to a group of people talking about the social media, as well as Dr. Al-Isa, Riham Al-Isa, College of Social Science, Kuwait University Department of Information Studies. You have heard what exactly they have said. They kind of agree with you. Let's go over it once again. And you have mentioned that the people nowadays using it more and more because, they find it fun and informative.
Yes.
What else you can add?
I think also why you mentioned that people are addicted to it, and the reason being is that I think the younger generations have a fear of missing out. They don't want to miss out. What's going on here? What's going on there? Who's saying?
No matter how insignificant.
No matter how insignificant, no matter how informative, no matter how pleasing or how rude it is. At the end of the day, they want to know what's going on. They don't want to miss out.
Curiosity.
Yes.
That's what I call it,
yes,
curiosity.
Absolutely, absolutely, curiosity. And then you have to also keep in mind that when we look at the population in Kuwait, we have a large number of the population that's under the age of what? Under the age of 20, correct? And these people, are defined as digital natives, meaning that they were born into technology. So they don't know a world other than this world of technology. There are people who are maybe like yourself and myself, we are called digital migrants. We have migrated to this digital arena, right? And then you have maybe my father or my grandfather who is a digital immigrant. So he decides whether to move to technology or would live without it. And it doesn't affect his life. No. Okay? So when you're dealing with digital natives, you have to keep in mind that this is all they know, this is their world, and they
What about obscenity and
it.
Foul language?
Yes.
Profanity. It became some kind of and okay for everybody to use foul language, and the people are expecting it and accepting it.
I think this has increased more so recently. because of the openness that's available, because of the freedom that the people have. So they believe that I have the freedom to express myself, so let me say whatever I want to say, whether it's nice or not nice, you know? So they don't think before they say, they don't think before they write. They just put it out there without thinking of what the consequences will be. Because remember, everything you do in this digital arena,
posted and written, and everybody's watching,
is a digital footprint, as we say. You're leaving a trail. So no matter what you do, it's always going to be there. That's one thing I tell my students. I say, whatever you do out there, remember, it's being tracked. Yeah.
Better watch out.
Yes.
What about Unaware movement to spread positive attitude in Kuwait, helping fighting negative phenomena?
Okay. Well,
Unaware, this is some kind of flowers in the state of Kuwait.
This is a desert flower, and Unaware is an organization that deals with spreading positivity. Now, about 2 years ago, Unaware established an educational arm that goes under Unaware, and that is involved in implementing a positivity curriculum in the schools in the state of Kuwait, primarily in the public schools and Kuwait University. So I think this will play a role, because once a person thinks positively, acts positively, this will be reflected in everything he does. So hopefully, if this is implemented across the board, we should hope to see some change in the way people communicate with each other, whether it's face-to-face or through technology and through the social networks. It's been approved now to be adopted across all the public schools in Kuwait and at Kuwait University very soon, inshallah.
Dr. Reham, promise us one thing: you come back again.
I will definitely come back again. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
We would like to thank Dr. Reham Al-Isa, College of Social Studies in Kuwait University. Now, we have a lot more to come right here on KTV2. We talk about, we have some kind of a report about the university. Stay with us for a while. The head of the Al-Anwar or Al-Nuwair, an initiative driving to spread positive attitude in Kuwait, Sheikh Intisar Salim Al-Ali Al-Sabah, launched the program Bright Future to promote positive thinking, health and psychological well-being for school and university students in the country. Let's check out this report about Al-Nuwair and come back with us.
تبسم لا يهمك شي، ترى ما في شي يستاهل. تعلم 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 من دروس الأمس، وخليك دوم يا عمري متفائل. تبسم خليها الدنيا تضحك لك وتتجمل، يصير الكون من حولك من أجمل إلى أجمل. تبسم خليها الدنيا تضحك لك وتتجمل، يصير الكون من حولك من أجمل إلى أجمل. تبسم 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 لا يهمك شي، ترى ما في شي يستاهل. تعلم تعلم من دروس الأمس، وخليك دوم يا عمري متفائل. تبسم لا يهمك شي، ترى ما في شي يستاهل. خليك دوم يا عمري متفائل.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that we conclude our episode for this evening. But before we leave, we would like to tell you one thing and one thing only. Using social media or the media itself, it's a double sword. It could go either way, to the positive side or to the negative side. So use it wisely. Why? Because a lot of people you could hurt, and you can hurt yourself. Therefore, when you hurt yourself, that means that you are outside the law. You need to stay inside the law, using it by wise and wisdom. From all of us right here at KTV2, we would like to thank you for staying with us to the point. Make sure to join us once again right here every Wednesday night on KTV2. I'm Ahmed Al-Wasmi. Bye-bye and take care of yourself.